lovely day on this beautiful, sunny, Scottish, weather-driven day. Today we're looking at how to write a critical essay, which is looking at how to write an introduction. Today's word of the day is monotonous, which is an adjective. It means something dull, boring and repetitive that lacks interest and variety. So, for example, the newsreader's voice was so monotonous, I drifted off to sleep. And today's spelling word, my daughter asked for me to do this one, is restaurant. Restaurant, however you pronounce it. So just try and remember it's rest and then a wee A-U, rant. So just try and break it up, rest, O, rant. That's the way just to try and remember. As usual, our cheesy pun of the day, why couldn't the pony sing a lullaby? It was a little horse. Okay, we open our task. What are the similarities and differences between prose and drama? So you could just pause the video here just to get your brain cogs a ticking. I'll not bother stopping, but I'll just keep going. Right, so critical essay questions. Once you've finished studying a text, your teacher, or the SQA, will give you a choice of essay questions. Sometimes that'll just be one question, sometimes it'll be 2 or 3, and then you have to make the choice. So remember what I said in the last video, you can't just write down everything you know about a text. You've got to focus on something. It has to have a clear focus, so a line of thought that's trickled all the way through. Critical essay questions can be based on one of the following. So it could be an individual character, it could be a relationship or conflict between two characters, it could be setting, it could be theme, it could be a key incident or mood, or it could be an emotional experience. A key incident would be a key scene in a play, or it could be to do with atmosphere or mood, like in poetry, for example. So the way to think about it is, how do you introduce yourself if you first meet someone? So what are the first 2 or 3 things that you discuss? So obviously first thing you say is your name. So that applies here, and then obviously you give a little bit of background, where you live, what you do, that sort of thing. So it's pretty much the same in an introduction to a critical essay. It is what it is on the tin, an introduction. So it shouldn't be too long, it's quite a short paragraph, roughly 80 to 100 words. It should sum up what the text is about, so just give a little insight into what it is, and what it's about, who's in it, etc. And then, except one section of this, you can memorise the introduction before you walk into the exam hall, but I'll talk about that in a wee minute. So it's not going to change. You know, you've studied this text for over a few months or whatever, so the name of the text isn't going to change, what it's about isn't going to change, the themes aren't going to change. There is only one thing that will change. So the rest of it, get practicing and get memorising, because you can walk into the hall and get that down on paper. So to help you think about how to structure it, you can use a mnemonic. Now remember, a mnemonic is like a memory tool to help you try and remember things. So like Roig Biv for the colours of the rainbow, that sort of thing. So for critical essay introductions, I get kids to remember the mnemonic TARTS. So TARTS stands for title, author, refer to the task, themes and summary. But not necessarily in that order. You can sort of jazz it up a little bit. The first 3 letters I would say are the same, don't change them. But the next 2 are interchangeable, so that's entirely a personal choice. So if we break this down then, so what does that stand for? So title, like I said already, the first thing you do if you introduce yourself is give your name. Same here. So give me the name of whatever text it is you've been studying. Don't forget, because it's the name of something, and probably a fictional piece or any title gets 1 inverted comma. Don't use 2 because that's quotes. So just use 1 single inverted comma, and don't forget your capital letters. You don't want the first thing the marker or the reader sees is that you can't even be bothered giving it a capital. So for example, The Great Gatsby, they all get capital, so does dulce et decorum est, and the inverted comma. So that's your T. A, author. Then give the author or the writer's name, full name, first and second name. You don't need to give that inverted comma, just like you wouldn't do your name, because it's a real name. It's not like a title of a thing, you know, or a book or a play, whatever. Again, don't forget your capitals for both names. Do not put them off with the first sentence. Excuse me, that's the dog. Then use an adjective to describe the text. So that could be things like melancholy, which is sad, tragic, humorous, thought-provoking is always a good one, because all literature is meant to make us think, isn't it? Or put it into some kind of context where you could give a little bit of information about when it was written or why it was written. Just a brief sort of sentence or introduction at this point. Then state what genre of literature it is. So that is obviously your novel, your play, short story, poem, non-fiction essay, film, whatever it is you're doing. Then, refer. So this is really important. In the first sentence you should have TAR. So that's title, author, refer to the task. So this is where you've got a choice of questions. At Nat 5 you get 2, at higher you get 3, or your teacher will obviously decide how many questions you get. You might just get 1 if you're practicing. But this is where you refer to the exact words of the question. You don't need to, it's not an understanding question like in a RUI. You've not to put it in your own words. You've not to try and jazz it up and look fancy. Just refer to the key words of the task. I'm going to do another video about the essay question itself and how to tackle it. But lift the exact wording. Oh yeah. So examples are: choose a scene from a play in which a character makes an important decision, choose a poem which creates an atmosphere that's positive or sad, and choose a novel which explores a theme that interests you. So these are kind of common questions, probably more Nat 5 or junior level. It gets a bit more advanced at higher, or specific I should say. Copy the section after and including either the word which or in which. As I've said on the screen, it's all in red. So you need to copy basically the question after that. If there's a choice though of 3 or 4 things, then you pick one. You know, you wouldn't write the poem Dulce et decorum est creates a positive or sad atmosphere. You would pick one. That's what the word or means. So be specific, which one are you doing here? Also, if it's a character question, tell me which character it is. So you would say, so if that was the question, the character makes an important decision, you would say the character of makes an important decision, right? So tell me which character you're studying from this novel or book or whatever you're doing. Or which setting is it? Which theme is it? That sort of thing. So be specific, that's what I mean here. What are you going to explore? The next S, so you'll see that it's actually it's going to come out as tarsed. I would say this is probably the right order, but tarsed isn't a word. So that's why I always say, remember tarts. This is the point where I would do the summary. So think about what summarise means. It's just an outline, a brief outline. You're not going to spend forever on this. It's a short introductory paragraph. So you don't need to tell me, you know, what you had for your tea in the novel. So just 2 or 3 sentences tell me that introduces it. So think about how you would write a blurb. You know, the blurb on the back of a book. That's the sort of thing that you would tell me. A brief plot outline. Mention 2 or 3 of the main characters and the setting. Where is it set? When is it set, if that's important? So possible ways you could start is the play or the poem, the novel is based on blah blah. So you could have an introduction like that, or the film or whatever genre focuses on the character of who, or set in Glasgow or wherever it is during the novel. Right, so that's the sort of openers you could use. Then the last part of this is T, the other T, themes. Mention 2 or 3 of the main themes in the text. So that's the issues that it explores. What ideas and issues does it look at? So there's a couple of ways you can do this. If you're more like junior or maybe Nat 5, you could get away with doing the poem effectively explores, or whatever the text is, explores the themes of, and okay, so common themes are things like war, love, conflict, loss, betrayal, treachery. There's some on the board, you know, up here. There's loads of different themes. These are just some of the common ones. Another way is maybe more for higher or the further up you go. Try and link the question, the focus that you're looking at, to the theme. So, for example, if you were doing a character who's experiencing inner turmoil, for example, you could say Arthur Miller's presentation of Willie Loman as a man in inner turmoil. So I'm referring to the question, I'm introducing the character, helps the audience, because remember it's an audience in a play, understand the central theme of the play, the distorted notions of the American dream. So I'm linking the question that I'm looking at, the character, to the theme. So you could try and do that yourself. Okay, lastly, we're just going to look at a couple of introductions to show you what I'm talking about. So here's one I made earlier. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So there's my T. My A is a thought-provoking novel that, so that would be your which, makes particular effective use of symbolism. So that's my I'm referring to the question. The use of symbolism helps to promote one of the novel's main themes. Here's my T, the theme. The failure of the American dream. And here's my summary. So that's what I mean. You can do it tarts, you can do it tarse. Set in 1920s America, the novel focuses on Gatsby's misguided pursuit of Daisy Buchanan, whom he longs to be with in order to obtain access to the higher social class. Fitzgerald uses symbols such as artificial and natural light, Dr. T.J. Eichelberg, a clock, and Gatsby's shirts to show that the main principles of the American dream have become corrupted. America has lost its way and therefore the dream can no longer be achieved. Society has become consumed by the pursuit of nothing more than material gain. Okay, so brief outline of the novel. Second one, here's an example of Tarst. Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller is a thought-provoking play in which there's a breakdown in a family relationship. So, T, Death of a Salesman. A, Arthur Miller. R, breakdown in family relationship. That's the question. This is caused by the compulsive lying and mental instability of the protagonist, Willie Loman. So I'm now getting into my S, my summary. Willie has dedicated his life to his monotonous dead-end job, selling products in order to support his family. Yet after 34 long years, his exhaustion and attempt to achieve success causes psychological damage and ends up destroying the relationship he has with his family. Through this destruction, Miller effectively portrays the theme of success. So here's my T themes. Success, pride, and how pursuit of the American dream ultimately leads to betrayal and causes Willie's mental instability. That's the kind of example. I've taken these from previous students' work. So that's another example. So, in summary, remember what I said at the beginning. There's nothing wrong with memorising that introduction. The only bit that will change, that you will not know until the day of the exam, is the question. Okay? The rest of it, T-A-T-S, tats, you can remember. So you can practice as much as you can at home. Practice a few different ones if you like. Your teacher will obviously help you with that too. So having that introduction, you know, I've been in loads of exams. I know the fear and the panic. It just makes you feel a bit of relief because you've got something on paper. So if you go in, read the questions, obviously, you know, pick the right question, then you can do the TAR once you've got the question in front of you and you've chosen that carefully. That's the next video. Then you can obviously memorise the rest. You know, you can summarise it, tell me the themes. They're not going to change either. So that'll give you a really good start and you'll not have as much panic because remember it's 45 minutes you get in National 5 and higher roughly to write this, so it's not a lot of time. So the more you can prepare in advance, the better. And that's why it's good to try and memorise a really good intro. Tomorrow's lesson, how to structure the main body paragraphs. Then we'll do the conclusion in the next one. After that I'm going to have a wee one about how the questions and what kind of questions, what to do once you've got the questions in front of you, that sort of thing. Okay, hope you found this useful. Please like, subscribe and join on the YouTube and Facebook pages if you haven't already done so. There are the links to the Google Classroom for all the slides and the, you know, worksheets, that sort of thing, a wee bit of revision to help you. And if you haven't, if you'd like to say thanks, if I've been helpful, that's what to do. Okay, thanks very much for tuning in.